Your reaction to the news that he is now cooperating with the DOJ probe and that he has an immunity deal?
You know, Ari, I don't want to get out ahead of anything that the Justice Department has not commented on. What we do know is from a public report from ABC News, and I give ABC News a lot of credit for pulling that report together. But what I will say is this. I have hoped for a long time that Mark would step up and do the right thing in what I define as the right thing, which is share what he knows with the Justice Department and, in effect, with the country about what happened inside the White House on January 6th.
You describe who was pushing back. Some of the White House lawyers, for example, trying to do their best to hold the line at the time. When you see reporting that Meadows was pushing back at the time or warning Trump about dishonest claims, did you witness any of that?
You know, I did. I wrote about it, one, extensively in the book, and two, I testified about it extensively both to the January 6th committee, to the Department of Justice, and to Fulton County investigators. And what I have testified to and written about remains somewhat consistent. Again, we don't know everything that Mark has testified to DOJ.
I guess one more question about Mark Meadows is, when he looks at all these people pleading while we're discussing him, do you think he is worried about getting convicted and going to prison in Georgia?
Again, I don't want to speculate about what Mark may or may not be worried about. I would leave that to him if he would be willing to talk to his emotions about that.
We talked a bit about Mark Meadows. There's one other item we didn't get to, which is actually from your book. You say, Meadows asked me to put together gift packages for Cobb County election officials and workers stuffed with expensive White House memorabilia that he and the president had selected to send. Very hands-on. I talked Mark out of sending them. Did you view that as risky for the impact it would have, that it would look like a bribe? And why is Donald Trump personally involved in picking out the gifts?
You know, my mindset at the time was, and I intentionally tried to write the book in what I call real time, how I was feeling about things at the time and then sort of my coming to my senses. At the time, I saw Mr. Trump as a very genuine and hospitable man that wanted to make people feel welcomed and that he was grateful for their acts and their services. I can't climb into the psyches, unfortunately, of Mark and the president at the time in that, but when Mark came to me with that request, I was personally concerned, and I voiced this to Mark, that it would potentially look like we were bribing Georgia officials to sway. At the time, they were counting the ballots, and it would look like the White House was trying to sway the vote count one way or another. And again, it seems like a sort of an extreme example, but it also just wasn't an issue we needed.
You didn't need an extra bribery issue? No.
No, we didn't need an extra issue in Georgia, and it wasn't the right thing to do, in my opinion. I wanted them to know that we were grateful for the work they were doing to make sure the election, in fact, the results were certified correctly. You've
publicly said you're cooperating with all those investigations, and you've also proven, as people can see, to be a fairly careful speaker, so you're not just sort of going off about everything. But if Mark Meadows goes on trial in Georgia, it would seem that you, who've already talked to the grand jury, would be a witness there, along with some of these Trump lawyers. It would seem that he's now going to be facing not one, not two, but a whole bunch of cooperating witnesses who were around him in the White House. Do you think that's fair to say?
You know, I would let the system in Georgia play out. We're day by day, we're starting to see more people start to cooperate. And, you know, there still is a chance, unless there's been reporting, I don't believe there has been a trial date set for Mark. So, you know, there still is time for him to come around and potentially cut a cooperation agreement.